Welcome to the Chapter 1 podcast, your inside look at the people powering Charlotte's business scene. Real stories, real entrepreneurs right here in the Queen City. We're here with Blake Keziah with Cross Country Mortgage, and we're pumped to have you on the show, Blake. And let's start at Chapter 1. What brought you to the Queen City?
So I am originally from here. I'm one of the few people that's actually still from here, born and raised. I never left. I don't plan on leaving, even though I would love to, but this is home for me. So I feel like I gotta take care of it.
There's not a whole lot. Originally from Miami, and I feel like I don't run into a whole lot of local Charlotteans. Yeah. So okay. Talk to me about what was growing up life like here. I mean, you probably have a more unique perspective on Charlotte, but I mean, I guess it's always been home. But what are some of the unique elements of Charlotte that you've loved, living here and growing up? What was life like?
So I grew up, I was born technically in Charlotte on the edge of Huntersville. I went to Hopewell High School growing up, and it was nice. I had family on the lake, on Lake Norman. That's kind of where my home base is Lake Norman. That's where I practice mostly. But all my family, for the most part, is born and raised in the Charlotte, Lake Norman, maybe a little bit of Statesville area. But honestly, I remember Charlotte and Huntersville as mostly like a quiet little town. Not a lot of people came here. There wasn't much to it. You would go to Charlotte for, dentist, doctor appointments, and that was basically it.
Changing a lot now, right?
And now it's like this big city that it never was, that I never had a plan on it ever being. So it's really cool to see it, but it's also like, it's kind of sad to see the small city feel go away,
So what was your step and introduction into the professional world? Like, did you just instantly start off kind of being an entrepreneur and doing the things you're doing now? What was your first job? Like, what was that like for you?
So, out of high school, everybody was told that college was the way to go, and you need to go to college. You need to go to 4 or 6 year college. You need to get a degree and do all these things. And I got good grades in high school for the most part, but like the school thing was not for me. I didn't like that idea. It was just sitting in a classroom, listening to somebody tell me things for hours on end, and having to go home and do more homework on all those things just didn't seem appealing to me. So I went to community college for 6 months. My dad said, "I'll pay for it as long as you go, but if you quit going, you're done." Like I can't afford to pay for it, and I don't want to waste my money. So after 6 months, I told my dad, I was like, "I'm just going to go work. I don't know what the plan is, but I'm just going to go work." I moved out, got my own place. It was all on me from that point on. I was 18 and got my own apartment. I had a lot of, it gave me, like a chip on my shoulder that like I could support myself financially and get away from home. They didn't agree with it, but I just decided I was going to do that. So I started working, retail. I worked for Food Line, and then I went and worked for a crane company, and I worked, side jobs working for a mattress company. But with all of these jobs, I always told all of management I wanted to be in sales. Like that was the thing that I gravitated to. Like I liked working with the people. I liked, selling things. I thought I would be very good at it, but nobody would give me the opportunity to do it. So COVID came, right? And when COVID came, I was in an interesting position because at that crane company, I really was not liking it. Like it was just a very high stress. I was gaining a lot of weight. I just was not happy at all. I had just met my now wife at that time. And, my grandmother, she had been a real estate agent for 40 plus years in Mooresville. So I knew that I didn't want to be a real estate agent, but I wanted to do something in real estate. So I just decided I was going to, jump and join the business. I had, I think, $1,000 in my savings account, and I spent exactly $1,000 on all of my classes. I had no money. Me and my wife were stressed out. Like, she's probably going to watch this and remember how stressful that situation was. Like, we had a dog. We were in an apartment. Like, we didn't have any money left. And I joined, and immediately, like, things took off. And it was the best decision I ever made. And I haven't looked back.
Awesome, man. So what were some of the differences? Because obviously working in things that weren't, sales and kind of having that entrepreneurial aspect of having to kind of find your own work and locate your own clients. Was that transition easy for you? Was it tough? I mean, what were the things that you did to market yourself? And was it networking? Like, how did that all work?
Yeah. So when I first got in the mortgage business, it was booming. Like COVID COVID, it was
Oh, yeah.
like right at the beginning of COVID. So rates were still coming down
Mhm.
and prices were still pretty low. So there were a lot of home buyers out there and there were a lot of refinances. So what I did, I joined Fairway Mortgage. And it's actually a funny story because when I decided I got my license, I did the test, all of the things.
Yeah.
And then I went looking for jobs and I interviewed with a bunch of places. And the only two places that offered me a job was Summit Funding, which is now Cross Country Mortgage, the same office I'm in now. I interviewed with my boss now there. And then I interviewed with Fairway Mortgage in South Charlotte. And I thought it was Fairway in Huntersville, but it wasn't. I applied to Fairway, what I thought was in Huntersville, but the guy called me and said that it's down here in Charlotte. So he offered me the job, and I liked it. But it was lead generation at the time is what they were doing. So they would give you leads, set your appointments, and then you would just sell, right? So those 2 years of doing that gave me so much mortgage knowledge that, like, my boss told me, she'd been in the business 15 years. She said, you learn more in those 2 years than I did in 15 years. So I got to learn the mortgage aspect of the business very easily that way. But after those 2 years, rates started going up and home sales started slowing down a lot.
Yeah.
So they stopped doing the lead generation thing. They said, you're on your own. You're going to go retail. We're going to change your pay structure. You're going to be 100% commission now, and you have to go find the deals. And that was a big game changer for me. Like, that's when, my back was up against the wall in a sense where I had to go and make it happen. So that's when I really started to learn how to network and how to, like, be involved in the community, and get in touch with realtors and make those relationships. Right. In the past 3 years, I've just done that.
Yeah.
Specifically, and in the Lake Norman area mostly, but I've done a lot in Charlotte as well. But I have become very involved with the Chamber of Commerce, my young professionals group. I'm now the president of, and we do very well with that. But that's a big piece of how I've grown my business is just networking and being involved in the community, helping out mostly.
Yeah. How do you, from a loan officer standpoint, doing mortgage like you do, how do you stand out from other people that are doing mortgage? I don't know. I guess we obviously struggle with this in my industry. I own a video production company and other people doing what we do. And so we work hard to try to stand out, to be unique. What are some of those elements for you when it comes to another mortgage officer? How do you stand out from them?
I get this question a lot, and I know this topic is tricky with loan officers, but when you look at buying a house and you're going and, you got to get a real estate agent, you got to get a insurance, you got to get a mortgage, all these different things. Like, everybody's so worried about price. Yeah. Right. A lot of loan officers sell themselves based on price, and I feel like that's a very poor way to sell yourself as an individual. I think it's all service based, right? Like, I'm available 24/7. Like, we can close. Our average time to close is like 12 days or something crazy, right? Like, there's no product out there that we can't do. Like, we are the largest private portfolio lender in the nation. Like, any loan you can think about, we can do. Besides commercial. Commercial's a whole different beast, but I would say, as far as myself, it's just the accountability and being honest with people, and then treating people like family. Yeah. Like, if you do a loan with me, like, you're family for life. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make sure that, any needs you have are met. Or if I see a weak spot in your financial picture, like, I'm going to help you with that. Like, I have financial advisors I can send you to. I have tax people, or I have I always send people an estate planning attorney. I feel like that's very important for people. Nobody really talks about that, but having a will set up if you own a house, like, you have a big investment, like, you need to protect it, right? So having those kind of connections and sending and being able to look at somebody's financial picture and telling them that, hey, maybe it's not a good time for you to buy right now. Let me set you up with a financial advisor that's going to help you get ready for that, in the next 6 months or something. I think that's the biggest thing that sets me apart, rather than just putting you on paper and selling you a loan that you say you want. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of mortgage brokers out there that will sell you based on a low rate, and you may or may not close, right? And that's very important. Like, if you're going to buy a house and you're putting $10,000 down on a house, like, it's, and that lender can't close, like, you're going to lose all that money.
Well, there was something unique you said earlier is that you always knew, or you're at a very young age, you were like, I know I want to get to sales. That's unique because I feel like sales is like often like people want to stay away from that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a unique gifting. So with you doing what you're doing now, what's the element you love most about what you're doing now with what you've got going on with mortgage?
I love working with people. Like I love talking to people. Like this is very fun for me, of course. Like being able to help people out is great, right? Being able to direct people and look back 5 years later and see that their house equity grew $100,000 and all of a sudden they got generational wealth they never thought they could do. But I'm a very, very competitive guy. I've had that my entire life. I'm not a big guy, so like football, I was very competitive, but I didn't go far, But like I just love the competitive nature of like, hey, I'm gonna beat my numbers from last month or this time last year I did this. I want to do better, right? Like it's always about getting better and improving and finding little things that you could do better about your sales technique or how you can I don't know, like how you can just improve yourself overall day over day. That's my favorite thing about this business, especially, and that's like any sales, just the competitive nature of it.
So what does the process look like? I mean, for somebody that maybe not quite sure exactly how it all works with mortgage, and it's like, are you a realtor person? Like what's the difference there? Like, what does the process look like for you when you meet with a client from hey, I'm interested, I think this is something I need to, we've now succeeded in what we were aiming to do.
Yeah, going back to like what you said earlier, what sets me apart, that initial conversation is crucial, right? Because you have to listen to what the buyer wants, like very in detail. Like you have to ask all the right questions so you know what their picture looks like. But up front, the consultation's 30 minutes to an hour, and we go through everything. We go through the assets, we go through their income, we go through what you want your payment to be, like how much money do you have to put down for down payment closing costs, because you might not have enough for the down payment, right? Like that payment that you're comfortable with might not match up with how much cash you have to put down. So we might need to look at down payment assistance products. Like we need to go over like if you're a first time home buyer, like you need to really understand everything, like what attorney fees are and how much to expect and like what mortgage insurance is. Nobody knows what mortgage insurance is at this point or why they even have to pay for it, But it's a very, very detailed phone call, or I prefer meeting in person with the buyers.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody that's going to be involved, whether it's their parents are going to be involved and the husband or wife or whatever, like I just want to meet everybody and then make sure everybody knows exactly what's going to happen. Because it's going to happen fast. It's going to happen really fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. In the industry that you're in, have you any like stories, like interesting stories, like situations you've got into where you're like, man, I did not think it was going to look like this, or I didn't think I had to do like this certain thing, or do you have any wild stories of?
Yeah. I've got quite a few. I'll tell you one recently that I had, or it's still ongoing right now. So this guy, he was a referral from a real estate agent. He came to me, not qualified, never bought a house before, but his dad was very involved with the process, right? And as a mortgage broker and a realtor, like, if the parents are going to be very involved with the process, like that's another layer of stress that's going to be put on you during the process, because the parents are always super protective, as they should be, but also like they all have their own opinions and they try to lay that difficult. They lay it on their kids, and then their kids feel like they have to like make their parents happy by doing the whatever. So we pre-approved them, we got them qualified, and this was 8 months ago that I qualified him, and he goes looking for houses, and every single house that he finds, he wants to put an offer like $50,000 or $60,000 under the list price. And this isn't like $1 million house. Like this is like a $300,000 or $400,000 house. So going that far under is like crazy, right? So he drug these two realtors around town for months, put many offers in, like. And as a realtor, like, you have an obligation. If your buyer says they want to put that offer in, you legally have to, right? Like, you can tell them it's not a good idea and you wouldn't do it, and you can huff and puff, but at the end of the day, you have to, right? Yeah. So he does this a bunch of times, and then he never gets it accepted, of course. So he doesn't fire them, but he goes and finds another realtor, and he has them put an offer in for $60,000 under list price. Tells me that he's doing this, by the way. So of course I go and tell the realtors that he's doing this. He's breaking the law. Like
That's wild.
This is getting wild, but like if you sign a contract with a realtor saying that you're going to use them to buy a house, like you're legally obligated to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, they can technically sue you for that 3% commission.
Wow.
Right? But he goes under contract. They get it. They accept the offer, $60,000 under list price, right? And the house is in pretty bad condition. Then they find out the septic tank is broken, right?
Gosh.
It needs to be completely replaced. That's like $20,000. And they agree to replace it. And now all of a sudden, this guy is saying that he doesn't even want to buy the house anymore. Like he's walking in the house with $50,000 in equity, and he's getting a brand new septic tank. And now all of a sudden, he's saying he doesn't want to buy the house, and he's talking to the other realtors. Like it's just that kind of stuff happens all the time, where like you come in contact with crazy ass buyers that like they say one thing, they do something else, but they tell you one thing and they mean the other. Like it's just it's wild.
Are you just caught in the middle of these situations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and you just kind of have to roll with it?
Yeah, I can't do anything because like I mean I literally like we're waiting for him to get this septic. Like the septic tank is supposed to be replaced. As you know, it's 30 degrees outside. They can't really dig into the ground right now. So we're just waiting for him to say, okay, well let's close. And he's just waiting for whatever reason.
Gosh.
But that's a good example for some of the things that we go through. We're just sitting here waiting for him to make a decision after all these months that he's been dragging us along,
That's wild. So is kind of a wrap up. If you could talk to yourself from when you were starting off, or maybe just somebody else that's watching the show that's just starting their journey, really just in any kind of entrepreneurial avenue, but maybe specifically a mortgage person, what kind of advice would you give them for those, especially for those early stages, but also just for growing, what you've done?
I would say the biggest thing for a new loan officer is find somebody that you can ride the coattails off of, somebody you can learn from, because that was the only way that I learned the business the way I did was right. Like you can do a loan and screw things up and learn along the way, but you're going to burn a lot of bridges. So you need to really get in under somebody that knows what they're doing. And find somebody that can teach you the right way to do things, and somebody that'll take the time to do that, because that's also very important. Like if you get under a loan officer that's very busy, they're probably not going to be very good at coaching because they're going to be too busy doing their own thing.
Right.
Finding a good coaching program is expensive, but also it's kind of necessary, in my opinion.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, Blake, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We loved having you on. And for everybody at home, I'm Greg Prinz, and this is the Chapter One Podcast.